Now we're going to talk about what life was like for women, both in Weimar Germany, but also in Nazi Germany, and the changes that took place socially. So obviously, Weimar government come to power in 1918. They draw up their new constitution, and as part of that new constitution, women are allowed to vote. So what was life like for women in Weimar Germany? They are given huge freedoms and independence. As shown in 1919, women over 20 were given the vote to reward their efforts in the war. This is on the same terms as men in Germany. This leads to more female interest in politics. By 1933, nearly 10% of the Reichstag, regardless of what political party they were part of, 10% of the Reichstag was female. Women also take up more jobs in the public sector, for example, teachers and doctors. However, very few still had high status jobs such as judges. The male-dominated trade unions were hostile, so that's one drawback, is that they don't have the high status jobs, the more powerful jobs in society. Whilst doctors are successful careers, they don't have the powerful jobs such as judges. In addition to that, males dominated the trade unions and they were hostile to female employment. New women, as in the women of Weimar, so that's in terms of employment, new women, as in socially, found greater social freedoms and independence, to being, not being frowned on for doing things like smoking and drinking and adopting Western fashion senses. They also continue with the liberal sexual attitudes which sort of began as a result of World War I. This meant the birth rates went down in Germany and divorce rates went up. Effectively, what you're seeing here is Weimar Germany is at the vanguard, that means the forefront, a leading figure in women's liberation. Weimar Germany is a great place to be a woman. You have more freedom than most places in the world. Unfortunately for these women, in 1933, Hitler comes to power, and you're going to see a massive change in the social attitudes towards women and the expectations of women and what they are told to do. As you can see from the picture, my PowerPoint there has clearly been divided in two. On the left, you've got these women with their ankles out, dressed in Western fashion, no male chaperone around. On the right, you have a Nazi propaganda poster showing what they think a woman should be like. You've got the blonde hair, blue-eyed husband, blonde hair, blue-eyed wife, and their three blonde hair, blue-eyed kids. So let's have a look at what life was like for women in Nazi Germany. Well, Nazis believe in a Volksgemeinschaft, which is sort of a people's community. Everybody's of the same mindset. Volksgemeinschaft, as in people's mindset. Everybody needs to pull in the same direction for the same thing. So what's the women's role in this? Well, the 3 Ks: Kinder, Kirche, Kuche. Children, church, and cooking. That's the women's role according to the Nazis. The role of women in Nazi Germany is traditional. It's childbearing. It's stay home and look after the house and raise the kids while the men go out to work. So, how do the Nazis try to bring about this change? Because obviously you've just had 14 years since the end of World War I, and women have had all these freedoms. So how do the Nazis impose these freedoms onto German society? So, first off, you get incentives and laws. Anti-abortion laws are now strictly enforced. Birth control clinics are closed, and maternity benefits increase. So if you now have to go off work because you're pregnant, you would get more maternity pay than previous. There's also obviously extensive Nazi propaganda, and German women's enterprise are sort of Nazi-sponsored classes about motherhood. How do the Nazis try to encourage or even force women out of the workplace? From 1933, women were encouraged to give up their jobs in order to get married. Many women were forced to leave work, and first choice of employment was given to men. Girls were put off from going to university, and social security benefits encouraged women to stay at home. So effectively the Nazis say, we'll give you more money to stay off work. Well, stay off work, to stay in the home and have children, have a family, start a family. Why are the Nazis so obsessed with this idea of women staying home and starting families? Well, they want more children because they can indoctrinate children, the Nazi party, want people to have more children so they can be indoctrinated and become future soldiers of the Reich. They can get committed Nazis from a young age. What's it like in terms of appearance for women? They are seen as effectively, in the Nazi view, different, not inferior. Women should be Aryan with childbearing qualities, as in wide hips. Traditional clothes, do not wear makeup, do not go smoking, do not go drinking, it's unladylike. Women are seen as vital in creating the next generation of loyal Nazis. As part of that, this idea of the smoking and drinking, women are also massively discouraged from having sexual relations with somebody of a different race. They believe if you are a Nazi woman, you have an obligation to your Aryan Germanic bloodline to keep it that way. Do not go race mixing, is what they believe. The reason for this, women were seen as vital in creating the next generation of loyal Nazis. You need to have an Aryan child that can then be indoctrinated into the Nazi beliefs to be a soldier for the Reich in the future, a soldier of Germany. How else do the Nazis encourage people to do this? We have marriage loans. Marriage loans were given to young couples as long as the wife left their job. For each child, the couple could keep 1/4 of the loan, 500 Reichsmarks. So what that means is if you got married and the woman left their job, you could be given a loan to help pay for the wedding and help start for your family life. And that loan was 2,000 Reichsmarks. If you had a child, 500 Reichsmarks was knocked off this amount. If you had 4 kids, you didn't have to pay any of it back. If you had a 5th kid, you didn't get paid to have that kid, though. Just remember, it's up to a maximum of 2,000 marks. So you have 4 kids, that loan is cleared and you're square. You also have the Lebensborn, which means the spring of life. This is where unmarried Aryan women could go to get pregnant with racially pure SS soldiers. The idea being they could create future soldiers and future mothers of Aryan race. What you're looking at here is the idea of no woman power being wasted. Even if you're unmarried, don't worry. If you're Aryan, we want you to have an Aryan child. Effectively, these Lebensborns were brothels, is what critics would call them. It's simply a place for unmarried women to go to have sex with SS soldiers to have an Aryan baby that would then be, indoctrinated and not forced to, but encouraged to join the future German army. In addition to that, you also get medals for women. This is the idea that men earn their national pride and show their valor through military service. Women show their valor through their devotion to the family. So, on Hitler's mother's birthday, medals were given to those with larger families. If you had 5 children, you got given a bronze medal. If you had 6 children, you were given a silver medal. And if you had 8 or more children, you would get a gold medal on Hitler's mother's birthday. So that's how women, this was equivalent, like a women's equivalent to the Iron Cross, where you've done your service for Germany by providing Germany with plenty of future soldiers or future committed Nazis or Nazi leaders.